All right, so I watched House of the Dragon Season 2, Episode 7. This is the penultimate episode of the season, and it was good. I think that now that we're nearing the end of the season, it's becoming much more clear to me that this season is a little underwhelming. You know, it definitely just feels like not a ton has happened. I'm not saying nothing's happened. I'm not saying I'm not interested in the plot. I'm not saying that I'm not interested in the characters, but when your show is very clearly leading towards a big war and you're spending this entire season technically being in a war, but also like trying to avoid a war, it just ends up feeling underwhelming and it ends up feeling like a lot of filler. Even though they've done a lot of interesting stuff with the characters, I'm not saying that they haven't, and I'm not saying that I haven't found it all interesting and engaging. But just when I try to figure out how I feel based off everything that I've seen, it's felt like a lot of filler, not quite wanting to get to all out war. That's what it feels like. Going into the season finale. So, anyways, I guess we'll talk about some stuff specifically. So, Rhaenyra obviously confronts the Dragon Rider guy from the end of the last episode, and again, I really like this. I talked in the last episode about how Rhaenyra has felt kind of nerfed this entire season, where in the first season, especially like Millie Alcock Rhaenyra, she was like very rebellious and she was very daring in the things that she would do. And this season has been her. She's just felt so subdued. She's been like, oh, I can't do it. I'm not going to do anything. Literally nothing at all. Or like, oh, I'm not going to go to war. I'm going to like leave my council and go travel to fucking King's Landing and try to convince Alicent that we don't have to go to war. And it's just like, what are you doing? What are you talking about? Like, why? Like, I don't know. Like, she just felt really lame this season, and I really loved how at the end of the last episode, she does like a very Rhaenyra thing to do, and goes and confronts the Dragon Rider herself, right? Without anybody else, she just goes and confronts him herself. I'm like, yes, that's a thing that Rhaenyra would do, and that's like a daring thing. That's a thing that proves that she's a badass, and I'm like, I like that. I like that for you, Rhaenyra. So yeah, she confronts the guy, and the guy's all like, "Oh yeah, I'm a really cool guy. I want to fight for you and whatever, and I just want to be special or whatever." And they became friends. So I really like that. Then Alicent, she's like having some sort of midlife crisis or whatever, or she's like, "Damn, I did all of this to get power or whatever, and it's not worth it because my kids, they both suck ass. One of them's a pussy, the other one's a sociopath," and she like goes out and camps in the woods. So it'll be interesting to see how that goes. Will Alicent maybe like? I wonder if Alicent's gonna have some kind of big power grab. Like, I don't know. Could she try to like kill fucking Aegon or whatever? Or what's the name of the guy that's currently the king? The older brother that's the sociopath. I don't even fucking remember. I don't know. Like, I'm just like wondering, like, is she gonna do something crazy to try to secure power again now that she's been ousted? I don't know, but she seems kind of defeated for the moment. It seems like she's taken the L, as the kids say. So we'll see. Damon is kind of being confronted again with ghosts of his past, except this time in reality, he's like forced to kill the guy who he convinced to fight the war for him. Because the little kid guy who's like the leader of the clan or whatever, he's like, you all suck. You know what, Damon? If you want our support, you have to kill this guy. Damon is like, I don't care. I'll chop his head off. But then he gets confronted by the Viserys ghost of his past, and this was a really good scene, where the Viserys was like, you should be a king is a king, a good king is a good king because a king shouldn't want to have the crown. People who like seek the crown, they get corrupted by it or whatever, and that's obviously commentary on Daemon being very being like a clout chaser and trying to get the crown or whatever. And I will say, it feels like this theme has just been reiterated over and over and over again with Daemon this season. It's like, all right, can we fucking get to wherever Daemon is going to go to in terms of his character? Like, is he going to be a good guy and like be okay with being, behind Rhaenyra or whatever, and Rhaenyra sitting on the throne? Or is he going to be a power grabby asshole and try and steal and like break bad, I guess? Like, what is he going to do? It just feels, again, it feels like this entire season has just been, at least with Daemon, it's just been like, oh my gosh, I'm demons from my past are confronting me, and we're at the penultimate episode and we haven't really moved past that. Then in King's Landing, we have the king being like pressured by the crippled guy, being like, hey man, your brother's crazy. We need you to we need you to get better, because this guy can't stay in power any longer. Although I wonder, and I will say, just kind of, sorry, what I mean to say is, the crippled guy, I can't quite tell if he's like fully self-serving, or if to some extent he's also like, he's worried about the kingdom or whatever. It's a little hard to tell if he's completely self-serving or if there is some sense of morality to him. But yeah, they're like trying to pressure the king to get up because Aegon is kind of an asshole. So we'll see what happens with that. I mean, the one thing that I don't really understand is why the king, because he's fully like conscious now and he's able to talk and stuff. Why hasn't he like said that Aegon tried to kill him? Like, I feel like he could very easily have them kick Aegon off of the throne and like execute him, really. So I feel like he could just do that. I don't know if it would be somewhat complicated because Aegon is on the throne now, kind of. If maybe there's like some complications that could arise from that. I don't know if that's the reason, but it is weird that the king hasn't openly stated this to anybody. I guess he could just be scared. I don't know. Then we have the Jon Snow lookalike kid. He's he's confronting his mom. He's like, "You're a whore. I know what you did. And if you get more dragon riders, then I'm not gonna have any claim to the throne because my dad was not the right guy that should have been my dad, and I know what you did." And Rhaenyra was like, "I'm sorry, but gonna get more dragon riders anyways. It just is what it is, kid." And he stormed off. So very interesting. Obviously, I mean, it makes sense that they've made him look like Jon Snow because they're both bastards, right? So we'll see if anything else comes from that. But I mean, I feel like he's not actually. He wouldn't have that much of an issue getting the throne, right? I don't know. We got the Dragon Keepers or whatever. They were like, this is bad. We do not support you getting non-royal blood to tame the dragons. We don't support this. So we're gonna storm off angrily. So that was funny. They're like, we don't support this, but we can't really do anything about it, so we're just gonna leave. And then obviously we got the guys that got the dragons. It was this guy who's been sort of our he's been like our point of view of being a villager or whatever in King's Landing, being a peasant. He got a dragon. And then this other guy who we've seen a bunch this season, he also got a dragon. And I will say, it was very obvious that they were going to get the dragons because they've been characters that we've been following throughout the season. So I feel like what they should have done is they should have had at least like one other character that we knew of and that we'd grown attached to and have them die. Just so that it would have like raised the stakes and still had that, and we still would have had that feeling of like anybody can die. It's Game of Thrones. I feel like by them leaving both of those guys alive, it lessened the stakes a bit. Where it's like, oh well, we knew those guys from past episodes, so of course they're gonna stay alive. I don't know, that it did have that effect on me. But yeah, now we got the crew together. We got like 4 dragons, I think 5 actually that Rhaenyra has, because they have her dragon. They have 2 extra dragons that they got last episode. They have the son of the ship master or whatever. He has a dragon, and then they have her son has a dragon, and I think one of the girls has a dragon as well, right? One of the girls with white hair. I think they might have dragons too. So they have a bunch of dragons, and I think, is it the case that King's Team Green, do they only have 1 dragon? I think they might, right? It's a really big dragon, but I think they might only have 1, if I'm not mistaken. So that's interesting. But yeah, we'll see what happens in the next episode. Again, at the end of the day, I do have a feeling that this episode will ultimately end up feeling like filler. But that doesn't mean it's not good. It's just a bit of a criticism of a season that I was still very much engaged with, and hopefully we get a season where it doesn't feel like everyone's just standing around waiting to go to war instead of actually going to war. And I wonder if it might also be from just like a budgetary perspective that they have to keep on finding like excuses or whatever to not go to war. If it's that, then I do end up fearing for the show's ultimate quality. If they end up just having to write excuses for why they don't want to go to war or why they can't go to war, I don't know. We'll see. But let me know what you think in the comments down below, and I'll see you in the next video. Goodbye.